Hello, Craig.
Hello, Craig. and
Hello.
hello everyone listening. Welcome to a Wyldrvir Playtest. Playtest is the brand we're keeping it. The game's out. Like playtesting is kind of a moot point, but it's more so I find very fun people and bring them in for a cool one shot in the system. But I call them playtests because I need a label. Today, I have some very cool people with me. They're going to be running through another one-shot from the Winter book, The Frozen Throne. As with all things in Wyldrvir, there's a Google Drive link that I'll put in the description of this. That'll have that book as well as everything I've written for it so far, because the entire game is free. It'll be fun. I think if you're listening to this, you know why you're here. So I'm going to let the really cool people I got with me today take us out. I'm going to go chat order if that's cool with everyone, and it's just the most convenient for me to just see the names, you know? So I'm going to start with Al. If you'd like to introduce yourself, a little bit about what you do, tell us a bit about your character.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. My name is Al. I am a fiction writer and also do some social media stuff as well. And the character I am playing is a created. Let's see. His name is Perceptive Echo Radical Condor Youth, or Percy.
Oh my god.
And he's a created, so mix of kind of flesh and metal. He loves to tinker, and he's always looking for a project.
Okay, and is Percy?
Sorry, Percy and myself, both our pronouns are he, him.
Okay, because that's always a question with the created, you know? Anyway, Car.
Hi, I'm Car, she, her. I am, in real life, a test engineer, and for funsies, I do improv and dabble in voice acting. And generally, I'm just a really great cheerleader for anybody in the TTRPG community that wants to be my friend. My girlfriend, Nikki, Halfling Nick on Twitter, is also a guildmaster with Emerald City Game Masters Guild and has some fun stuff going on with her. So you'll usually find me in the chat cheering her along and anybody else that's having fun. I am playing today Cyrene. She is a moon eidolon, she, her, and she was initially raised in the city, but her family took her out to visit her family on the coast who owns a scrapyard, and so she is a junker scrapyarder. She doesn't have a lot of land walking and talking friends, so she made a lot of friends with the sea creatures on her visits, and is generally happiest tinkering and figuring out things to do and what she can make from them out of stuff that she's got in the scrapyard, as well as finding new things to scrap and making her living off of that, trying to save herself and her fish friends from anybody that tries to come for her scrapyard.
Awesome. So we have two different Tinker characters. That's really interesting.
I am excited for this.
Pimo.
Hi, I'm Pimo. I make papercraft terrain for tabletop role-playing games, mainly, only fantasy, medieval fantasy ones right now. I might later go into sci-fi or something like that. My pronouns are she, her, he, him, because I just discovered I'm fluid. And I'll be playing Karina Ori, which is a priestess. Well, she was admitted into an order when she was very, very young. And from there, she was she was taught that she should be humble and serene all the time, and she has this very slow way of talking because of this. And she recently was asked to be the main priestess, but she feels like she's lacking a bit of connection with the nature and magic, so she said, like, she decided to get out of her comfort zone and try to discover if she is actually made to be the priestess of her order. And yeah, her pronouns are she, her as well.
Awesome. And finally, Rackham.
Hello, I'm Rackham, the creator of Dungeons and Pop, a variety tabletop RPG, or tabletop, not RPG podcast. And I'm going to be playing Bonesy, the Lich Bard, or at least that's what I tell people, because I'm a man of bones and I have a bone to pick with the bad musicians that have plagued my home in the underground. I haven't necessarily shown a skill with actual music, but I've managed to learn a few cheats by harnessing the wind to make my music sound a little bit better than it really is.
Gotcha.
And also
Okay.
for a man with no taste buds, I'm a rather decent cook.
Nice. Okay. So,
Oh my god, it just hit me that you could have like an accompanying wind section for like your music.
oh my
The
god.
funny thing is, I just came up with that on the spot now.
Okay. So, let me set a bit of the scene. For reasons that we can come up with together, you guys have joined up together. I imagine it was probably a bit more like Percy and Cyrene started the expedition, with Karina deciding like, oh hey, these people are traveling, I need to travel, this works out. You know? But so you guys can take that, you can completely scrap that, whatever. One way or another, your crew have ended up in a very interesting place in the world. Wyldrvir itself has 6 city-states, very elemental magic based in each one. You kind of know what you're getting into with those places, you know? If you enter Shardelia, you're expecting a lot of stone magic. If you're entering Sindir, there's going to be fire magic everywhere. But because Wyldrvir is a big archipelago, there's always the chance of discovering new locations, which is the case today. There have been a large amount of people interested in an island in the very north of the archipelago known as the Veiland Tundra. This is a very icy place with a laughably underserved map. There's the town of Ridgeport, which is the only known of town in the entirety of the tundra, and the rest of it is wilderness. Just wilderness and strange buildings and artifacts. If anyone wanted to learn more about ancient civilizations, get in contact with strange magic, or, find some sick ways to invent heat-keeping devices in the cold, Veiland is one hell of a proving ground. And I think we can open on you all traveling into the wilderness, if that's cool with you.
Sure.
Yeah, it works for
me. So you have left the comforts of Ridgeport. I'll tell you a little bit about it, but we won't be spending much time there. It's a very small town that only has a town hall, a lodge, a makeshift hospital, of course a ski and winter sport shop, because why wouldn't there be? And different kind researchers and people like that. They'd have absolutely warmed you up with a good night's sleep and some nice hot chocolate before you started on your trip, you know? You're probably all decked out in winter gear thanks to those people. And you're starting to enter into just the wilderness of the Veiland Tundra. I will also give you another fun fact that for as long as you've been here, which is probably only a day or so, it seems that every night lights seem to dance around the sky. Very Aurora Borealis, except it is a constant, not a once in a blue moon sort of thing, you know?
Ooh, a mystery.
Mm-hmm. There's two talks in the town of Ridgeport. A group of people who are talking about how people have been seeming to search for a sort of a long held myth of something in the ice, a creature of amazing magic, or other talk of the town involves a missing scientist who went into the tundras and has seemingly not come back. You're not too sure if you're hunting those specific things down. You can be once I, give you all the reins. But that was more so just the whispers in town as you made your way out into the wilds, you know?
Yeah.
So, I'm going to stop talking. And I'm going to let you guys decide a little bit about what could have drawn you to this wilderness, what you may be interested in here, and what you're up to on this icy roadway, if you will.
Oh man, it is freezing out here. I don't know about you, Percy, but this has got to be worth it. Whatever this find is.
I think lots of discoveries to be made out here. Missing scientist kind of intrigues me a bit, but I'd also be curious to see what's in the ice.
Well, maybe the missing scientist will figure out how I could unfreeze my bottom. I haven't felt it in days.
Could be worse. Could be in sweltering heat, and then our supplies will be of limited value. Bonesy says as he looks at his bag of cooking supplies.
Also, I'm even crankier when I'm dehydrated.
Karina, I have an interesting proposition for you, actually. Do you think you would have done your meditation attribute at any point before the start of this? Like in your time in town, you know? Is this like a daily thing for Karina, or is this like a when they're in a place where they need it kind of thing?
No, like I think that, every time she got some time for herself, she would try to meditate.
Okay. Do you want to roll with that? So that way I could see maybe what you gleaned in that time.
All right. Just let me see which
Yes. So
dice.
just to verbally confirm, the rolling system here is everything is a d20, and if you have an attribute dice for it, you roll that dice on top of the d20. So like a d20 and whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm. All right. So, 1 second.
No worries.
Okay, so it was a 25.
That's really good. Okay. With a 25. Okay. So I'm gonna say, and actually you guide me through this. What about this place would have been interesting to Karina? Like, what about the stories that you heard, the whispers in town, or just like the strangeness of this place in general? Is there anything she's focused on, or is there just?
Sorry. So I was thinking, she is exposed constantly to, the wonders of nature and everything like animals, trees, and plants, like animals and plants always uh like um sorry,
No,
forgot
you're
the
good.
word. Like that's the problem of having two languages. Well, she is very interested in animals and plants, so she would always be like focusing on those things instead of, trying to find the magic of the nature behind them, right?
Yeah.
So her train of thought was going to a place so that lacked plants and animals, would make her, well, would help her focus more on, the very basic form of true nature magic.
Ah, interesting. So that's kind of the focus as they try and do these meditations. Just like
Mhm.
just the presence of magic in general.
Yeah, like presence of nature magic, like in the earth.
Perfect. Okay. So 25, I'll give you this. You are probably a very well learned person, especially about things of the natural order. Something like the lights just always being in the night sky every day, something about it feels off to you. Not dangerous off, you know? Not a threat off, but just very much like there seems to be some other magical influence in this place. Not necessarily in conflict with nature magic. You'd almost pick up it's rather in harmony with it, but it's a second beacon of magic, in a way, you know? All magic on Wyldrvir stems from the World Soul. All magic anywhere else you've been stems from the World Soul. This is the one place in all of your travels where there seems to be two different sources of powerful magic.
All right.
And you can't quite pick up what that second one is, but you can, just through all your focus, you can tell that it's not a threat. You know what I mean? This isn't a looming danger. This is just something else that is just kind of here, you know?
Mhm.
What you do with that information is up to you.
Sure.
So, hopping back to you all, it's probably the sun is bright here in Veiland, even though it's frozen over. And while it's very cold, you can see the way ahead, and thankfully, it's not a blizzardy day. Is there anything you guys want to plan ahead for? I don't know. Is there something in particular you might be interested in trying to find? I know the map is purposely very vague, but there are those strange structures, you know? Is there just like, do you think you have a goal, or do you think the goal is explore and see what you run into? Just in character.
Well, there's a lot of fun, cool things that are just not yet known around here. I'm kind of game for everything. But the more I can scrap and bring some stuff home to sell or play with, the happier I'm going to be.
Percy has kind of a similar mindset. He has many possibilities. He's not so much for finding things and bringing them home, but he can sketch some things down and learn new information and possibly some designs.
Gotcha.
Bonesy is here for the experience because he's been told to write about what you know, and he really hasn't known much besides his time waking up in the underground. So he's hoping to at least get a cool story out of this, something he can put to rhyme and finally get those vagabonds out of the underground.
Gotcha. So, I'm gonna say you guys have traversed for a good bit of time, you know? And maybe for those of you who have them, stomachs are starting to growl, you know? And there's just sort of an immediate want of food and a place to rest your feet. But you are in the middle of the wilderness. So I think that'll be a good setup. And what, because I think that's mostly a Cyrene and Karina problem. What are you two kind of gonna do about this fact that you are hungry and a little bit at your walking limit for now?
I think so long as we're near the coast, I think actually I'm gonna have Cyrene see if she can communicate with a fish or a narwhal or something to bring her something to eat. She's not picky.
Okay. Karina, what are you gonna try? Are you gonna talk to Cyrene about it?
So, Karina is used to being like, good, traveling around and finding things to eat, like in her way.
Mm-hmm.
But she is kind of she kind of forgets where she is often.
Yeah, I get you.
Because like she's always deep in thought. She's always like thinking and like trying to understand the forces of nature that she sometimes forgets where she's standing. So for her, it's common to just be like, "Oh yes, the nature will provide for us," and then look around and it's like, "Oh no, this is not what I'm used to."
Yeah, there's no bushes here.
Exactly.
I like. No, go for it. Go for it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a vibe. So she is going to see. I'm sorry. What was your character's name, Car?
Cyrene.
Cyrene. So she's gonna be see Cyrene being so like proactive about getting food. She's gonna be like, I'm truly sorry about this, but would you please help me also get some food because I don't know how to get any around here. I'm not from around here. I think that is a bit obvious.
Do you have a specific diet? Because like I just bring whatever the fish can get me, but like you get seaweed if you're like a vegetarian or just like eat plants. And got some fish or some other things sometimes. If with a narwhal, it's like stabs with the horn.
Oh, okay. No, well, I would rather have some plants if that's, possible. I know it can be very difficult over here.
And I go to talk to, or Cyrene goes and talks to the animals, and she had a 17 on her roll.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's all right. Let's flavor this out a bit. What are you gonna do? Are you just gonna like Aquaman stand over a thing of water and wait, or are you gonna like what is Cyrene's like speech process to the beasts of the sea?
So yeah, she just sort of speaks to the sea and the waves. For talking to the animals, just sort of like hailing a friend, like waving to them on the side of the road, just see who's passing by, and seeing what that animal could fetch for her. If it's a larger sort of predator or type of animal, like then she'll accept like food coming from them, but she doesn't like ask for a fish to jump out and like beach itself for her food.
Yeah, I guess.
So at the very least, she gets like kelp or something or seaweed from like the smaller fish, but maybe the larger creatures might bring her another fish.
I gotcha. So you got a 17. I'm gonna say that there was some rather smaller fish, but they heard your call, looked you and the group up and down a little bit, and they went into the water, and you realize it's been a minute and they haven't come back. you can feel that they're still around. Like, you can sense that connection, but like they haven't dropped kelp yet, and it's been a minute, you know? All the while, Bonesy and Percy, I'd like to imagine you two are just standing there, just kind of like confused as to why you've stopped, you know? And you just see Cyrene just shout at the water, and nothing has happened, and it's been a couple minutes.
I feel like Bonesy is kind of watching this and kind of looks over. It's like I mean, I could cook something. I got some cashews. I got some chicken.
Huh. Well, that would certainly be a lot faster than probably waiting to see if any of my friends can get me something.
Come on.
As soon as you say, like, that could be faster, one of the fish reappear, and man, you've chosen like the worst. How do I put this kindly, in a way that doesn't sound like I'm mad at you? I'm more mad at myself. How do I make a fish point? Is basically what I'm trying to get at. Is I was just like, man, fish have the worst anatomy for what I'm trying to pull off.
They could squirt water.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
With that, it just kind of like squirts this ice water first at you, and you feel this cold, and it gets your attention, and it sprays a little bit forward, and you kind of meet your eyes with it, and it starts like swimming forward, and it seems like it's leading you somewhere.
Okay. I'll be right back. I'm gonna need that fire for warmth as well as cooking things. And she sheds her coat and anything else that's like specifically to keep her warm. And is like all of her like, you know, first layer clothes are absolutely like, you know, like practically like skin suits for diving into water. So she's always ready to enter the water. She's just very much acknowledging this is going to be a lot colder than she's used to.
Yeah.
And she will go in and swim and follow her friend to where it would like to lead her.
Okay.
So cold. I'm like cold thinking about this.
Yeah. It's kind of funny to me that because Percy, you don't need to eat or anything like that. I imagine you're just kind of still going about your business, perhaps taking this time to maybe plan out some new things, you know?
Yeah, and he would understand too, like, is, you know, being kind of around Cyrene. He's like, oh, okay, this is the time when she eats, so he's just kind of go to kind of do his own thing, you know, just kind of sit there and sketch a little bit too. Maybe take notes, and you know, living among people, he also understands that nourishment and food is a necessity.
Yes, this makes sense, and you understand in such a harsh condition, it makes sense that it is scarce to find free food the way you might find in town, you know? So Cyrene, I'm not going to make you roll for swimming. You're literally like a mermaid person, so like it's fine. I will say, when your little fish friend finally stops, it seems to spray up, and you kind of poke your head up out of the water a little bit, you know? And it's here you see what they were leading you to. It's a cabin, stationary, a little bit in the distance, smoke rising from a roaring fire in the chimney.
Huh. That is not the seaweed I thought I was about to be led to. Good.
The fish just kind of like shudders a little bit, almost as if it's trying to like hoist itself up, like, oh yeah, I brought you here, haha. You know, like, you expected seaweed, you get so much better, haha. You know.
There's like a little way that is safe for Cyrene to like pet fish, and basically like with the fish's consent and in the way that it prefers to be shown physical affection, she rewards it for leading her to apparently a warm place that also is more than just seaweed.
Yep. So, because you swam there, when you kind of get back on the land, you can see the little fire Bonesy and Percy and you had set up with Karina, and it's a bit of a ways, you know?
Yeah.
You just kind of see the smoke in the distance.
Ooh, I think she is actually going to see if she can crawl out at the cabin and sort of investigate it. Worst case scenario, she jumps right back into the cold water very fast.
Okay. Are you trying to like stealth around, or are you just walking on up?
I want to sort of take in what it looks like. If it continues to look like mostly a cozy little like cottage, I think Cyrene will probably just like walk up to it. But if it looks like it's like the intro to like some horror movie with like a ridiculous number of like weapons and grisly scenes, I think I might be a little more stealthy.
Gotcha. So, yes, the cabin's... Once you get closer, you will see that this is a 2-story cabin raised up on a slight platform. Around it are creatures tethered to the platform. And these creatures are just things you, in your time in Wyldrvir, have never really seen before. They are... Let me find them. This is such an in-joke, I almost feel bad that they're canon. They're like huge blocks of ice, but they seem to have mammoth-like tusks breaking out from the front. And little, like, long, strong feet at the bottom of the block of ice. You cannot see inside it, though, so you're not sure if this is a literal mammoth in a block of ice, or if this is a block of ice creature. You're just really not sure. But the affectionately deemed mammoth cubes, God, just seem to be almost harnessed at different points of this platformed cabin.
I think Cyrene will oh, this will be an interesting one. No, that's trying to figure out if they were actually water-based, if they would count as sea-based life, but that seems like a stretch. So I think she will just see if there is a way to approach the cabin without necessarily getting too close to these mystery creatures, and sort of knock on the door and see if there's anybody home.
The way up is rather calm, you know? And there isn't much of a threat there. In saying that, I'm gonna hop back to the other three for a moment, Car. Percy, Bonesy, and Karina, you have kind of given them a 5 minutes, you know? It's starting to get weird that they're gone, if that makes sense.
I sort of had a thing I was thinking it'd be I think as sorry, as Bonesy preppiness, he takes out a frying pan that has a noticeable dent in it, like as in like he had to defend himself with it. And he looks over to Percy and goes, Percy, could I have maybe a little assistance on this? He holds up the pan.
Did you try and say something? Because it kind of cut out for a second there.
Can't hear Percy.
Nope.
I'm sorry.
Hello?
No,
There
I
we
was
go.
waiting. I was waiting for Bonesy because I just took out the frying pan and. Oh yes, very nice.
Oh, Bonesy said there was a dent in it and asked if you could help with the dent, I'm assuming.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Percy will just kind of look at it. Kind of push it back into place, I guess, or where the dent is push toward the middle to make it even.
Okay. Do you want to roll with maybe one of your just like? Do you have anything strength based, or do you think I could also allow a tinkering based roll to just see how effective you are at this?
I mean, it's kind of primitive, but maybe tech savvy, just because how something works. You know, if it's a frying pan with a dent in it.
I'll allow it.
And the dent is definitely a face shaped.
Oh boy.
So that is a 26.
You, with relative ease, just push it back into place and hand it back to Bonesy. Almost like, I don't want to say dismissively, but just very like, okay, that job is done. Back to the new job, you know?
Yes, back for waiting for my friend. You know, just kind of where to she go.
Yeah. Karina, you are probably the most affected by how long Cyrene is taking because you are hungry. You know. What is Karina gonna do?
I mean, yikes, it's like so she would have been lost in thought a bit, you know, but then her stomach would remind her that she was in a situation. So she would see that they're fixing the pan, but really wondering if they're actually going to use the pan or not. But then realize that her that Serene is hasn't come back, and she will look at at Percy and Bonesy and ask them if it has been a bit too long, right? Do you think she might need help?
Possible. I mean, we are out in the cold, and there's a lot of animals out here like to blend in and get a little sneaky.
That sounds a bit dangerous. Should we maybe look out, like
Cyrene.
look for her?
She is no stranger to trouble, but that said, if she went into the going to look between him and Bones, might pose a problem. I am Pot Machine and our Bodhi friend over there, well, with Bones.
I feel like at this Bonesy, you would consider this and think and try to take a long look around, trying to see if he notices anything, because he does have an eye for details.
Roll with it.
All right. All right. That's a 7, a 1, and a 6.
You start looking out, you know, and you're just like, wait, I think I see. Oh no. Like, what you thought was like maybe someone in the distance, was actually just a elongated shadow of a regular old snow hare that just kind of looks at you for a moment and just hops away. It's just Bunny. And that distracts you long enough that you've kind of fucking, you know what I mean? Just, hyper vigil. Ooh, a bunny.
Yeah, I feel like Bonzi's like, oh no, I've fallen to the snow blindness.
Yeah, Karina, you kind of look with Percy and see that Bonesy has said they have fallen to the snow blindness and is staring at Bunny.
You'll take a look around too. I'll roll an observant check real quick.
Go for it.
You got a 12.
You think you see something in the distance, like a silhouette of some kind. It may be a building, like it's tall enough to match that. But you're not quite sure exactly what it is,
Yeah.
It just doesn't look like a typical ice hill or anything like that.
Yeah, Percy's going to point toward him like, perhaps we should go this way. Maybe there's some people over there who can help us, at the very least. It doesn't quite look like a building, but, we never know. He's going to start walking toward that direction.
Just gets up and starts moving.
Yep. He's made a relentless discovery, if you will.
Okay, good. Just gets up and instantly starts heading over. Karina, Bonesy, there's still food frying in this pan. What do you do? Are you going to follow Percy, or are you going to wait for food?
I think Bonesy would stay if sorry, I'm trying to remember names. The other person who's staying behind is going to stay just because he knows Percy is tough as steel or whatever that. Well, I think he thinks that, and he thinks, wait, is that a? He thinks himself, wait, is that like? I don't want to. He's struggling from it because he's trying to think. He's considering like, wait, is that like a bad thing to say about a constructed? I'm not sure. They're like, I can be made out of all kinds of things, but yeah, he would stay if they would stay just because he's tougher than Bonesy, because Bonesy could be knocked over with a bowling pin.
Yeah.
So safety in numbers for the squishy and the stick man.
Fair enough. Karina, are you gonna go, or are you gonna stick around by the fire?
I'm sorry. So did Bonesy go with Percy?
Bonesy is waiting on. Just basically, Bonesy is waiting. Bonesy is trying to see if you stay or go.
All right. So Karina is going to like look at him and kind of like make puppy eyes because she's hungry. And like try to, with only her only like without saying it because she's shy to say it, but she's gonna be like, please stay because I'm hungry.
I think Bonesy nods and starts taking out some of the cashews and breaking them into the food, breaking the shells and putting them into the food, since he did say he was going to make some kind of cashew chicken thing.
Okay. Jumping back to Cyrene for a second. As you get closer and closer to this building, you start to notice a few more details that kind of give you just a bit more ease in what you're doing. It looks like there's someone outside, cutting down some trees for firewood, seeming relatively calm. this person that you see is, well, about 8 feet tall. And they're just cutting down at trees, and it just seems like this person or people, you can't be sure, just made a home out of this place.
Cyrene's like tummy growls a little bit, like because she definitely burnt off like a lot more energy swimming to get here. So she's just sort of like, well, I have to get something for me and Karina. Might as well say hello. And she'll approach and from what she determines to be a reasonable distance from an 8-foot tall being with an axe. She is going to hail them and say hello and see if they speak the same language that she does.
Yeah. So as you get closer and you hail them over, you start to see more of them. They're a sight. Massive at 8 feet tall. Their chest is a barrel, cut at an angle and reattached in the heart shape. Shoulders are made of log that go beyond his neck and face, and mostly covered by thick, bushy, soft pine needles. Otherwise, there seem to be metal components and a beanie, flannel shirt, baggy pants with a sash at the waist, and a big pair of boots. It is a created, like your friend Percy. Except just a very different vibe. As it
Very tall vibe.
Very tall vibe. As it like chops about like just starting this next tree, it hears you like seems to just automatically retract the axe and put it at their side, and in a way that's like not like ready, just like resting, you know? Then giving a little spin to where you are, just goes, "Oh, hello. I must have not seen you come in. Are you new to these parts? I thought I knew everyone around here."
This is very new, super new. Just arrived like today? I think it's today. Yeah. With some friends.
Just a slight nod.
Um,
Let me be the first to welcome you then.
Thank you very kindly. I hate to bother you just after meeting you, but part of the reason I was out wandering was because, well, me and one of my teammates are very hungry, and we didn't actually have the supplies to sustain us until we found something else. I was wondering if I could trouble you for just a little bit of food, and then, you know what? I think you would actually really like my team. So, like, I could come bring them by to say hi, or, you know, one of you can come say hi if you want. I don't know. I just like saying hi sometimes.
Yeah.
She's a little awkward at first meetings.
They hear this and they seem to like ponder for a moment, you know? As they do, you hear someone fall from a tree, and they seem to just do like a loud shout, you know, the one, as they jump, and they land on this created's back, dangling their legs behind them playfully. And you see, give me a moment, I need to go up to where they are. Well, I don't think you've ever seen someone like her before. But out of character, this is a Yeti. Out of the 3 new wintry races, a Yeti is the closest to the one on the left. Far left. With like the white fur and the spikes. She's tall, but thin, about 6.5 feet, and boundlessly energetic. As she just does this jump onto the back of the created, they're just like, "You have friends? We haven't met people here in so long. We should go and we should let them stay. We should let them say hi." And they seem to be talking more to the created than you. And the created just kind of looks and just goes, "I was about to say, Prilla, that they would be I'd be happy to share food with them. Why would I not be?" And they're just like, "Well, you're just such a stickler all the time. I just figured it was a safe guess to check." And Prillo then just kind of gets off of this person's back and asks, "So where did you say you were? Your friends were?"
Well, we're back that a ways, and Cyrene points in the general direction. And by now, Cyrene is starting to like shiver fairly violently because she's losing what little remains of her body heat rapidly.
Yeah.
So her teeth are starting to chatter a bit. I kind of have to get back to them because I need to let them know that I'm okay. But also, I got to get back to them so that I am okay because it is very cold out here.
Oaken just kind of goes, "Why don't you come inside? We can take care of transportation, no problem." And from like the second floor of the house, the door swings open, and the window swings open. There's like a wooded window, and someone who looks more like the second image. They're a brownie, just kind of like has these stretchy, like the toy stretchy arms, like
yes,
their arms stretch out like that and pull their little body out, and they just go, "Did you hear that, boys? It's time for a ride." And as they say that, the ice cubes kind of like steady up. And the Yeti just kind of goes, "You may want to go inside. You need to warm up, and we can take care of the travel for you."
Oh, those are so cool. That would be awesome. You should probably let them know, like, because I think they might be worried. So you might just want to be like,
"Oh, you're coming with us.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Just step inside. Trust us."
Don't know if Cyrene would actually fully trust them to go inside without, like, because right now I think Cyrene doesn't have her pack or anything, so she's currently weaponless, and there's an increasing number of people.
Yeah, Oaken just kind of goes, "Don't mind those two. They're basically my siblings."
I don't know. I really want to be there and let my friends know I'm okay.
"Oh, we'll get there." Perrin just kind of goes, "Let's just drop the pretenses. Show them what we can do." And the brownie nods and just kind of pulls out a little slide whistle, and Oaken just kind of uses their axe to cut one seemingly couple strands of rope. And it's at this moment that you realize this cabin is designed to basically double as the biggest, most extra sleigh you've ever seen in your life.
Oh, that is so cool. I need to figure out how this works, how everything works. You'll have to tell me everything on the way.
Oaken just kind of nods and just goes, "As the architect of the wandering cabin, I can absolutely do that for you."
Oh my god, Percy is gonna love you.
The Yeti just kind of says, "Oh, that small fire pit would be them, right?" Pointing out in the far distance with like a little eyeglass that they have,
That should be them. I swam for a bit to get here. A fish told me where you were. It was awesome. They were super cool.
The brownie just kind of looks down and says, "See, I told you talking to the animals was a good idea." And they just kind of, the Yeti and the brownie just kind of have this back and forth banter as they close the door and let you in, Just very little siblings bickering with each other kind of banter. And you go inside, and it is very cozy. Like very wood cabin, nice rug, a well-stocked kitchen. Place just seems like a home away from home for you. Well, a little less metal than you would be privy to, and a little less water. But, like, it'll do,
We're close enough to the water that, like, Cyrene's like, if I need to, I can call to it. Okay. Still technically okay.
And as you kind of step in, the Yeti just goes, "You might want to grab onto something." As the creatures start moving, and granted, it's not very quickly. Well, it's not like 30 miles an hour quickly, you're not gripping at something for dear life as you're being pushed by these creatures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you're moving and you're seeing like you get closer and closer to this fire pit. And that's when I'm going to jump to Percy. Percy, you are wandering, sun is kind of starting to go down. It's kind of annoying, You're losing some light. It's the winter area. It's not great. And you noticed very quickly that your other friends stayed behind to eat.
Oh well. And when you
as you
creature keep going. He's gonna stop for him. He's just gonna kind of stop where he's at. Just kind of hold his staff close to him.
And it's getting that you remember following that building. You were looking for the building. You were looking to get close to it. And now you realize it's coming at you. That silhouette in the distance.
Oh.
It's getting closer.
Yeah, I guess you're not one to have to waste movement. He's just gonna, I guess, kind of wait for it to come to him.
Yeah. You start seeing the things that Cyrene has already seen. The large brick creature things, and this house carriage. It's odd. It's a cabin put on this stilt and being pulled by these creatures. And the top window almost like has a seat with where reins would be if this was a regular carriage, but without any, is that character who I mentioned before. Looks most like the second image. Very small. We're talking like halfling gnome-ish, maybe a little shorter than that, But they seem to have very elasticy, plastic man proportions as they're able to like swing their arms all the way out to the creatures and tap them on the head, just call them good, good boy, and then just swing their arm right back to regular proportion. And you kind of see all of this as one scene as they stop suddenly, and that little Fae-esque creature just kind of jumps on the windowsill of this big alcove on the second story and just goes, Are you with the water one?
The water one? What exactly do you mean?
She's about like stretches their legs to get up to about Cyrene's height. About yay big. Ain't wearing too many layers. Very drenched. Said something about food and fish following them or leading them. I didn't catch too much of it.
Did she have pointed ears?
They look at their own ears and just like, yep, and just kind of wiggle them.
Oh, you must have seen Cyrene.
That's their name. I should have asked. One of these creatures just gets a little bit closer and like, hey, Chunk, they're a friend. They're a friend, buddy. And they elasticate their arm to like pat the cube of ice. It's like, there, buddy. What's your name?
My name is Perceptive Echo. Roaming Condor Youth, or Percy.
There's like as you go through your acronym, you watch their eyes dilate. Just like, And then hearing Percy, they snap back to him like, all right, Percy. Well, your friend was looking for all of you. Well, kind of looking for all of... They knew where you were, I guess. I didn't catch too much of the conversation. But you're welcome to come inside for some warmth.
Okay, and he goes inside.
You just kind of like hop onto the platform and just enter through the door. Almost as if this was a regular building. And then as soon as you do, you see Cyrene just kind of like sitting at a table, maybe kind of gripping the chair, but that's like the most steadying they need. At this point, Cyrene, they've already given you like a cup of hot cocoa, and you're already kind of resting your feet. You know.
Yeah, I am absolutely asking as many questions as I can about the house, and then like when I see Percy, I'll just be like, "Oh my god, this house is so cool!"
Yes, it is. So I kind of look around.
Percy, as you walk in, a few little creatures kind of like scurry to you curiously. Let's see, where am I looking? Yes. These are small ferret-like creatures that are white at the moment. And they all kind of seem to run around your feet, you know. And the Yeti character who Cyrene met, who Cyrene has now gotten the name Prilla out of, is just like, oh, these are our other friends. Don't mind them. They like new people. One of them is absolutely on the table, kind of observing Cyrene too, you know. And Percy, it's at this moment you see this 8-foot tall created with like lumberjack vibes, and it's just kind of like they just kind of look at you, just go, "Oh, another created in the tundras. That's new. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Please take a seat. I was just informing your friend about how we built this place."
Interesting, and he does.
So jumping back to Karina and Bonesy, Bonesy, what have you made Karina to eat?
I have made a cashew chicken rice mix with a touch of I don't know if barbecue sauce exists in it, but it's
It. You know what? I'll allow it. I'll canonize it. Sure, why not?
yeah.
It does now.
It's sweet and tangy barbecue. I want to say like Carolina style, and it's mixed in with some rice. There's probably some greens, probably some dried onions, that kind of thing. It's pretty good.
So, Karina, I'm imagining you're kind of like, there's enough here that you can kind of dance around the chicken, you know?
But, you know, she was used to such lean and plain food in you know, her order that when she tasted is like you can see her eyes like go wide and shine like, what is this? It's so amazing. She would like just eat the whole thing without really realizing. Like she would, you know, space out and eat the whole thing without even remembering she was vegetarian. She'd be like, "Oh no," and then feel horrible.
Oh
She's
no!
like, she smiles and goes, "That's the power of flavor."
As soon as you say that, Bonesy, and you two kind of have this moment, you both hear, like, it would sound like a sleigh moving closer, except much bigger and with a lot of, like, animal noises, you know? And it sounds like whatever this cacophony of noise is, it is getting close.
Oh boy. I want to look around.
Roll for it.
Yeah, I think Karina would too, and she has the observant
Yeah,
attribute. So
hopefully I do better this time, because I'm looking for details.
oh, I got an 11.
Well, I got a 1, but on the plus side, I got put one on one of the dice, but on the plus side, the other one was 11, so that's a 12.
You both are a little bit blindsided, you know? You're like looking almost out of fear, because what is that, you know? So you don't really get the time to get a full picture in, as storming up to you are all of these mammoth cubes, pulling a big-ass house with that little brownie character who, I guess, out of game, in character they haven't given their name yet, but their name is, find it, why have I lost it? Their name is Jekka. So she kind of like looks at you all as soon as you get close, and then just, are you Are you missing your two friends by chance?
Y-
Uh,
yes.
like, yes.
Oh, it's you two. Okay. And then, like, instantly sees Karina and just goes, oh, poor dear, you're the one who needs food. Come on inside.
Sure. Like, she wouldn't like want to be rude, so she won't say that she just had a whole bowl.
Yeah, yeah. Bonesy, they're just like, you could come in too. I didn't mean to deny you. Just, don't want someone who don't want someone who gets frostbite to get frostbite.
Oh yeah. No. I totally understand, and I think he picks up all his stuff quickly and comes in.
The house kind of lowers once, like, right in front of where you used to be, and as you guys walk in, Jekka just kind of says, well, we made it. We can either head back to where we were, or we can pitch it here for the night. What do you guys want to do? And you think they're talking to another person, but then you hear the creatures just kind of grunt back, and she says, okay. They're kind of lazy today. And they just jump from their spot, and they seemingly in a few seconds appear in this front room and just kind of look to this big created and just go, the boys seem a little tired today. Do you think we could pitch it here for the night? And Oaken, the creator, just kind of shrugs. He's like, that's fine. It doesn't matter much. He's like, besides, we have another guest today anyway, so I believe we have had quite a busy schedule. The three now together, as you guys reunite, just kind of take a little bit of a backseat and let you guys talk for a second, because it has been a bit since your party has been out, But for Karina and for Bonesy and Percy, very nice place, wooden everything, wooden everything, very cozy winter vibes in this place. Some nice books, a nice long table, and it's clear that this place is meant as their home.
Interesting. Though I do have a question though. I do have a question for a fellow player. With how fast the food was eaten, do they just have like kind of like like when people eat ribs, there's always like the face, there's like the barbecue around the face a little bit, or just from the description? It's something I'm just curious for my own, just how I'm picturing the scene.
Karina, I think that's your call.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear what the
No, it
name.
was. No, that's up to you because you ate so fast. I guess they're wondering if you look like when you've just eaten like greasy food,
Yeah, like I think she would have smears on her face from eating so fast, because she's usually very like slow at eating and ceremonious, and right now she wasn't. So it makes sense.
Sweet.
Cool. Jekka the brownie just kind of goes, well, help yourself. We definitely have enough for snacks. And, well, we could just sit around and talk. It's been a while since we've had guests. And then Oaken, the creator, just kind of goes, except for the one that's been staying here. And the brownie just kind of shrugs and goes, she's basically family at this point, Oaken. And they're just like, no. Incorrect. Yeah, they're just kind of bantering amongst themselves the way people who are roommates would. But you four also kind of are given a bit of space at the moment while the three get to like making you stuff and preparing space for you for the night,
Cyrene like turns to them and is like, I'm so sorry that took so long. But I did find food technically. The fish found food, actually. I should probably get my stuff from outside. Runs out, grabs her stuff, and comes back.
Yeah, now that they've like pitched this spot, like there's no like jump from the platform to the floor. It's almost like they've just up and moved their house right here, you know?
As a concept, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Also, Cyrene will turn to Karina and be like, "You have got to try their hot chocolate. It is really, really good. Really tasty. Really warms you up too, which I definitely needed."
All right, I'll try this hot chocolate. You said?
Yeah.
Like she had never had her in her life.
The Yeti girl just kind of perks an ear and just goes, just like jaw on floor, just, "You've never had hot chocolate?" And they almost sound like so sad at this. Prilla looks like you've just said that Santa isn't real. You know what I mean? Like, she looks devastated. Like, "Never had hot chocolate?"
The place I lived in had very limited resources. We tried to just, eat as little as possible. So
You watch that sadness morph into determination as she just goes, "Well, then you're getting the best cup of hot chocolate you've ever had." And then kind of goes and says, "Well, realistically, you could give them the worst hot chocolate in the world and it'd be the best they've ever had." "Shut up, brother!" And they just run to get like pots and stuff together. She's determined to make you the pin hot chocolate.
oh, now I'm craving one.
I know, and I need to make hot cocoa shortly. Dang it.
Percy, I think you have been very I feel this place, like the way this place runs, seems like something that would interest Percy.
Yeah, he's just quietly observing and kind of taking notes. He's not really interrupting or prodding with any questions or anything like that. Maybe just kind of walking, I guess, next to whoever's operating something and just like, "Oh yeah, how's that work?" or stuff like that. So
Yeah. Oaken is very happy to tell. They're just like, they've put so much effort into this, and Jekka and Prin seem to be the only other people who really appreciate it, So they're very happy to explain their secrets to you and just like, "Oh, well, we use this and this to do that," Any other things the party want to do, or can we kind of jump ahead to you guys getting food? Or, well, this is kind of awkward for poor. This is kind of awkward for poor Karina, because the wandering hut crew are definitely making you guys food because they're just like that. But you have just eaten. This is, they would have 100% also asked like dietary needs. So when they heard vegetarian, they're like, okay, then like prep something accordingly. Probably a very light but nice salad.
She's going to try to eat it all because, she was taught that, if they're giving you food, they're doing like a sacrifice. So you should take it and not leave anything. So she's going to like try to eat every last bite and suffer so much from it.
Oh.
I think that Bonesy seeing this would say, or what we're walking with, say like, I've been taught to have a little bit of hospitality and just a little thanks for helping us out. And he takes a jar out of his bag that just says as a cartoon picture of himself, just like it's back like the lit like I know there's a phrase for it, like the like I think it's chef's kiss, but I might be wrong.
Okay, yeah, now I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
and it just says Bonesy's bold blend, and it's it's a jar of the barbecue sauce he used for the previous, another jar of the barbecue sauce from the previous meal.
So for Karina or for the hosts?
For our host.
Okay, just checking.
If Karina wants some, he has another jar.
No, she's like trying to avoid more food than she can eat.
I think actually also like if since Karina has probably at least traveled long enough with Cyrene that Cyrene would either note that she's not eating a lot or Karina would know that she could offer Cyrene her food, and like Cyrene is like just eats at all times as if she's never going to see another meal. And so she will eat until they stop feeding her, just about, like very much like a goldfish. So every so often, like a little bit more of like Karina's food ends up on Cyrene's plate, and like Cyrene's like, "Oh my god, it's my favorite."
And so Karina's gonna like, when the hosts aren't looking, going to shove a bit of food on Cyrene's plate.
Like gone before they could even turn around. Like,
So, as everyone preps, you just hear the Yeti girl call up the steps and just shout, "Dinner's ready," And someone steps down the stairs very quiet, and they look almost, I'm gonna say this is the closest match. Like, exactly like the far right image. This blue-skinned elf with very pinkish hair and kind of this, like, different colored streaks, And as she kind of steps down, she just kind of gives a soft nod to them and just sits. But Karina, as soon as they see you, they seem intrigued, for lack of a better word. And just like nice dinner is happening. Percy and Oaken are talking schematics, and it's this nice moment. And finally, this elf woman kind of looks at you, Karina, and goes, "May I ask a question?"
Of course.
They just kind of like observe you up and down and just go, "What brought you out to a dangerous place like this? You don't seem the adventurer type."
And like she looks a bit embarrassed, and like she's also like full of still the barbecue sauce in her face, so she doesn't look like an adventurer at all. And she's like, well, I'm on a trip of self-discovery. I have a lot of things to think about, and I thought this would be a good idea. Why is this like a very dangerous place to be in? She looks worried.
She shakes her head and just goes, "No, I just curious." And then after a few more bites, she just kind of adds, "You, I guess you could say that I'm in a similar place. Elves from the tundra, like me, are all very transfixed on the lights in the sky. We have a belief that if we follow them to their origin, that we'll find a place for us." She says this kind of like amidst dinner,
Mhm.
I lost my way, if you will, while looking in. I've been here. These kind of people have been housing me while I make some decisions. If chasing the lights is really what I'm supposed to do, those kind of thoughts. And I don't know, just something about you gave off an energy, and I thought I'd found a kindred spirit. So thank you for proving me right.
Well, if you need to talk a bit more about what's troubling you, I can you can talk to me, and I can give you any any wisdom from my religion if you'd like.
They kind of nod, just go, I'm not looking for something new to believe in, but advice would be, well, advice would be nice. Maybe after dinner we can talk.
Sure.
Bonesy, Jekka is in love with your barbecue sauce. They are so happy, and they are asking you all sorts of questions, And Cyrene, I think the Yeti Prilla is like just wanting your stories. They want to hear about like cool things you've built, Prilla and Jekka are very energetic youngins, so
Uh,
new people just fascinate them.
if there were any questions just about like Cyrene herself, like she's not used to people really wanting to interact with her that way, so she would have probably not joined in. But as soon as they ask her anything about like the stuff she's found, the cool stuff she's built, like that she'll talk forever about.
Yeah. Okay. Since we've gone a little bit over time, I think that a nice note would be that Oaken at the end of the night kind of lets you know that there's beds for you all, and that basically the traveling hut can basically act as your base of operations for your continual travels. They'd be willing to travel with you, basically, using the creatures are called the Remnithants, by the way, using the Remnithants to get you where you want to go. And if that's a nice place for everyone, we can kind of call the night with you all basically making some new friends, and one day soon traveling further into the snows with a whole crew of awesome creatures and some wintry buddies.
I did have one small thing. I think Bonesy just
No, please.
explaining basically is saying he's kind of explaining how since he didn't have taste buds, it took a lot of experimentation to get it just right. And anything he learned from it, that is, you'll have a lot of failures before you'll have a success in life. Every failure is a success because you have successfully ruled something is not going to work.
Yeah. I think Jekka just kind of says, while you're staying with us, maybe we can work together on making some new food.
I very much appreciate that.
Awesome. Everything does require a lot of trial and error, but it cuts down on it when you got a buddy.
So I just want to add a bit here.
Please.
Karina would be very curious about this new character.
Yes.
And
you know what? I'm down to throw a little scene there if that's cool with you all, because I think I kind of left that on a cliffhanger, but this is a one shot. I feel kind of bad about that. So if you want, go with everyone, we could let that scene play and then call it there. The elf's name is Rina, by the way. Rina.
All right.
Cyrene, I think they've let you in on the schematics along with Percy, and I think in the morning, you two are going to help them trick this place out.
Oh, yeah.
And this Yeti just is like, Prilla the Yeti is very intrigued by your creations and is like, okay, so how'd you make that? And it's just basically kept you at this table for extra hours, just like poking and prodding at whatever you've brought with you, And somewhere in all this, I think Karina retires, and heads up the steps, and Rena is waiting, and she just kind of smiles, seeing you've actually shown up, and just goes, well, kind of didn't expect you to actually come.
I mean, yeah, you did sound troubled, and it's good to help other people. So if you want, you can talk to me, and we can see if we can come together to a good choice for you to continue your journey here in this world.
She smiles a bit and just goes, do you ever think that focusing on something for so long keeps you away from everything else?
And she kind of thinks back about how she was like basically secluded in a very small area with very selected people, and not really you know enjoying anything that was outside. Like, she had never had chocolate and she was amazed by it. The barbecue was like, something she never even imagined. And like, she doesn't want to get started with how, houses moving were something that were possible. That was possible. So she's like, yeah, I get that completely, actually.
She nods and just goes, for a lot of Aurora elves, chasing the lights is a lifelong endeavor. We start in Ridgeport and we just keep going. One day we believe we'll find that point, and if we don't, someone will pick up where we left off, and someone will. That's been our belief since as long as the lights have been in the sky, for as long as any of us can remember. And I didn't get lost. I gave up. I realized I didn't want to just be a marker for someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know if I made the right choice, I guess.
Well, most of us live our whole lives just listening to what we should do and give so little thought about what we actually want. So it's, it's very brave of you to have actually stopped and thought what you actually wanted.
She smiles a bit at that. Just like, this might be the first time that action was called brave. Yeah. So that was just the first, like, you can get the sense that hearing that action called brave, totally new,
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm also trying to figure out my own path, and I've also been told what to do. And well, luckily I have the choice. I mean, it's not that weird for people like me to just decide to not be whatever they ask them to. But in your case, it's a bit more difficult because you seem to have that as a chore. Is that right?
She kind of like, I think I just hold myself to it, like, I think about all people like me who devoted themselves to the lights, and I think about how if I don't continue, I don't know, I just don't want to think I'm letting people down.
Yeah, I understand that. There's people that had, their hopes on you and ideas of what you could become, but in the end, you have to be okay with yourself. You have to be true to your own soul, to your own heart, and know that whatever you do, you have to do it for yourself and not for others.
She smiles a bit and just kind of looks down at something, and then just kind of hands you that same very kind of comically small and undetailed map, And she points at, there's like a symbol of an elephant and like a couple like tower looking things and a hole in a mountain. She just goes, we don't tell people this much, but those 4 spots, they're not just random doodles. They're little markers for a roundabout's location of, well, there isn't a consensus of what they're called. People call them temples, people call them trial grounds. All we know is that they've been here longer than we have. And while my family and everyone around me are so focused on chasing the lights and thinking that just following them will get us where we need to be, I'm convinced that there's more to these places. That if we go there and we learn about what's inside, that maybe we can, I don't know, find some answers. And I know it would be going against everything that has come before, but I think I want to not be a wanderer and be an adventurer. And it might be crazy, but I mean, we're in a moving building, right?
Yeah.
I think we have license to be a little crazy.
I think you have a good plan, and you have a hunch, and you should follow it.
She just kind of looks and then, almost very awkwardly, just goes, "Would you and your friends want to come with me?"
I'll talk to them. We really don't have much of a plan, but I'll ask. I'll ask. All right.
She nods and just kind of like looks at the map in like a very longing way and just goes, "Thank you. I don't think I got your name."
I'm Karina Ori, and you're
Rena. Look at that. She just kind of like rolls up the map and just goes, "Let me know what you guys decide, because I have the unenviable task of trying to rope in the two children and the robot." But I think if we all work together, I think we'd figure out some pretty cool stuff.
It sounds very interesting. Like she's like starting to get deep in thought, wondering if she could find some answers as well.
I mean, I've got the lore and you've got the wisdom. We might be able to make something cool happen.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me know. And she just kind of like instinctively just rolls onto their bed in a very just like awkward, this conversation is done sort of way, you know? Karina, you probably head back down the stairs, see Bonesy and Cyrene being pestered by the two children. Are you gonna talk to them?
I'm gonna more like approach them, ask them if they have a minute, like whenever they have time. I would like to talk to them, and maybe we could, I could tell them next session about this.
Yeah. Okay. So we can probably call it at this like kind of cool moment. Let me do the official ending stuff, okay? And that'll be where we call the session for the playtest. Thank y'all so much. It's been a lot of fun. I enjoyed the story a lot, actually. The wandering cabin concept was thrown in by our own Goggle. Just kind of came up with it on the fly, and I love it so much. I know Al had to leave early because they had to go to bed, but Car, Pimal, and Rackham, would you like to tell us where they can find you?
If you want, I can go first.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So you can find me at pmal_comics on Twitter, or my brand, let's call it,
Yeah.
is Papelkami. And you can find everything I do if you just Google it. Papelkami. It's like papel in Spanish and alchemy like alchemy. Yeah. I know it's not very easy to pronounce, but yeah. If,
Okay,
if, if you check my Twitter, I'm like there all the time. So yeah, basically there.
cool. Car, would you want to tell people where they can find you if you want to be found?
Wondering. Yeah, I'm at Carbeat Beep, Kar, and then Beep spelled twice on Twitter and any other social medias that I forget that I have an account on. And then I'm not the most active person, but I did want to plug my girlfriend's upcoming femme-focused talk show about TTRPGs and the folks who play them. It's on Twitter as at TEATRPG_, and it's a really cute, cool show that is having its first episode on January 31st. I'm really excited. I would love to chat with people in the chat on it.
Awesome. That's really cool. And Random.
I can be found at Dungeons and Pop or at Dungeons. Let me make sure I get the right address because I think it's dungeonsandpop.podbean.com. Twitter account for the podcast is also Dungeons Pop, and we can also be found on the Cast Junkie server.
Awesome.
A lot of fun things. We have like basically a Power Rangers D&D campaign, a bunch of Monster of the Week, and even some segments where a couple of our players actually build monsters.
That's really cool. Alrighty then. And you can find us, well, frankly, if you're listening to this, you found us. So, but we can be found, we have a mainline podcast that is a group of characters going into the world and traveling on their own. Unlike these one-shots, the podcast crew get like, I don't know, I love these kids a lot. They're going through mainland Wyldrvir right now, but these are a great way for me to show other places of the, of the world that we haven't gotten to yet. But that is just the World of Wyldrvir podcast that releases every other Wednesday. I think by the time you will listen to this one, it will have come back from winter break. Because I think we're coming back on the 27th. Yes. Okay, so the 27th is going to be our first day back. So at that point, by the time you're listening to this, every other Wednesday, expect a new episode. That's really fun and exciting. Thank you so much, everyone. And we will talk to you all later.